at practice. Everybody getting into the act. Durant fires for three. Got it! Got it! Here's Thompson for three. Big shot by Steph Curry.
Guys that, just coming out of high school, not quite ready for the NBA yet, but want to make a little bit of cash playing basketball and want to be a professional early. I think that's the best part about it is you're traveling, you're every day you're thinking about the game of basketball, not school, not study hall, not dorm rooms, none of that stuff. You're thinking about basketball and how to get better, different sets, different schemes. And I think just being professional a little earlier, take away the money, obviously that's cool, but just being a professional basketball player, having responsibility as a professional basketball player, I think that'd be good for some young players. And then you got your players that'll just be ready for the NBA right on top, and then you got guys that need to go to college. So I think, it just depends on what you want. It depends on how you feel. You got to be honest with yourself at the end of the day. If you're not as good as you think you are, when you get to the NBA, you should have probably went to the G League or college. So you got to be real with yourself and assess your real skills. And people around you got to be real with you and not just blow smoke up your and be fun.
Kevin Durant, among the many players who've expressed their hope that the NBA will eliminate the age minimum that leads most of the best American prospects to play college basketball for a single year and then make themselves available to the draft, the one-and-done model. And this week, ESPN reported that the league is exploring ways to engage elite high school players, providing them with an alternative path to pro basketball and eventually do away with that draft age requirement. What do you think this should look like 5 years from now?
Well, I think, for one thing, you hope that 5 years from now we do have a direct one-to-one relationship with all G League teams and NBA
We should
teams.
be there by then.
And I would think that would be the case.
Yeah.
And that's the first big domino that has to fall. After that, I think what's really important is that kids don't have to declare out of high school. They're just automatically eligible and they get drafted or they don't.
Right.
Because I think what happens is that agents get involved in the process very early on. And part of that is making sure that the kids do declare. If everyone's automatically eligible out of high school, two things happen. One, NBA teams then get to scout high school games again, which enables them to build a much greater file of information on the players who do continue on to college. And two, and maybe more importantly, no one has to declare, and you end up in a situation where you can take, obviously, the guys that are the clear-cut best
the
players.
Kevin Garnett's and the LeBron James.
And if you know that's going to happen, then there's no longer this one-and-done mentality. It's, if I'm not ready out of high school, I'm going to spend a couple years in college. And more families aren't left to feel like we're one and done. It's just not a very good model that can't work for everyone right now.
Well, it doesn't work for college basketball particularly well because the players come and go so quickly. The college game would be better without one-and-done players, I think. And the NBA would be better without one-and-done players. There's also the idea of creating more pathways via the G League that allow these players to experience the pro game, make a little money. For guys who don't particularly want to go to college, they want to become professional basketball players.
Yeah, and I think we need to keep in mind the numbers. Even the guys who want to make the league, who won't make the league, it's such an elite group of talent that even plays college basketball.
Right.
Division I scholarship college basketball. We're acting like everybody that picks up a basketball is going to be on that track. They're not. Trust me, I've been in enough gyms watching AAU basketball to know that everybody is riding that dream. So it's a very dangerous thing you're doing, trying to uproot a system that has really been imbalanced for a very long time. Do you think the Chris Webbers, the Glenn Robinsons, the guys who came before Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant and that generation of players that went straight from high school to the league, had that been an avenue available to them, I guarantee you there were guys before KG and Kobe that would have tried it. But you have to allow some, and really, Griffith's about giving a guy a chance to make a mistake and learn from his mistake if that's what's done.
There has to be flexibility.
You've got to
built
allow
in.
somebody the freedom to make that choice. I think we got to be very careful when we start talking about the league reaching down and having its hands in that process, because then you become culpable. The minute you start instituting policies and procedures to affect that system, you're going to have to live with the liability of it as well. There are going to be people who are always looking for an excuse or a reason that it didn't happen the way they wanted to. When a lot of times it's just serendipity. It's just fate that some guys make it, some don't. But the opportunity to make the choice to chase that dream should be open, as Griff said, to everybody.
Well, and the flip side of that is that hopefully some reality sets in for younger players as well. If the NBA gets involved at the high school level, you're going to have camps, you're going to have talent evaluation, and the NBA or their representatives are going to say to some of these players, you're not an NBA player. You should go get an accounting degree. Or
I don't know if I want them all doing anything, but I think the one part about it that I've always liked about the baseball model, because I think the football model is set up different. They've always factored in the physical pounding that a young person would take and him not being ready for that at the NFL level. Well, I think science has told us there are a lot of NFL players who are grown men who are not ready for the pounding that your body takes in the NFL. You have to be careful about how you legislate for me and then for you and for someone else who might be a prodigy. I mean, what benefit? Everybody talks about the benefit of going to college, which I think for some people it's great, for others it's not. What would have been the benefit for LeBron James to go to college that he wouldn't have gotten coming straight into the league, being as advanced as he was in his craft? So you always run into instances where there are going to be exceptions to whatever rules you have, and I think that's where you get in the gray area.
Well, and you're never going to be able to legislate to the lowest common denominator for anything. I think the one thing that the league is looking at when they talk about getting involved in the process, they are talking about camps and more academies for the elite players, which will help those elite players get better every day. One of the things that American players are really at a huge disadvantage with, Luka Doncic, by way of example, who can be the first pick in the draft this year, has been playing professionally since he was 15 years old. All he's done, KD said the point about every day is about basketball. For those elite international players, every day is about basketball. And so now we're in a situation where our kids are playing catch up. Even if they are going to college, they're not getting anywhere near as much skills development time. So it'll be a really interesting thing to see what happens if we get to this point, because they probably need to add a round of the draft as well so that you can fill out your 16th and 17th roster spots and keep more of the elite talent in the States for them to play against as well.
Well, that could be where the academies come in as well. If they are property of a particular team, but they're playing at a lower level, the academy level, however that might look, because that's the way a lot of European teams do it as well. They have junior teams.
Well, there are international players in this league right now who I've had conversations with. They've been professionals since they were 13, 14 years old.
Ricky Rubio, Kristaps Porzingis,
where you're uprooted from your home and you go to another country to be a professional as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, which is staggering, when you think about that sort of situation for an American teenager in this realm. The problem is all of the things that come along with that, and all of the stories that you hear, the horror stories oftentimes about how kids are taken advantage of in those situations. And the success rate, just like anything else, when you're talking about rising to the very top of anything, is going to be tilted, in the wrong direction. You're not going to have as many kids make it that you think should make it or that think they have the talent to make it. That's very difficult for people to swallow, but that's a fact of this lifestyle. Trying to become the best at whatever you do, you're going to leave a lot of people by the wayside.
Still only 450 roster spots available in the NBA. that part, unless they radically alter it, that part doesn't change.
510 if you count the two-way guys.
Well, there you go, 510.
Great point.
For the whole planet.
For the whole planet.